So as the accessories in the box are a hose, a water filter that comes pre-installed, the gun, a dirt blaster, and a variable adjustment jet attachment as well. This also comes with a car kit, which includes some car shampoo and a washing brush. You can suck detergent out of a cup. Comes with wheels, height adjustment for the handle. It's a water filter. It's easy to connect. Apparently easy to store. K2 power, 1750 PSI water blaster by Karcher. I got this to wash vehicles with and clean some paths, mostly for washing and cleaning vehicles. So some water blasters may be a bit too powerful for that. Some may be a little bit too weak, but this one seems to be relatively decent according to reviews, and seems to be what it's recommended for. This comes in a relatively light package. It's not too heavy for its size. Just over 19 inches by 11 and a half. Roughly. Car brush. It has a quick diagram and pretty much no words, just a bunch of numbers associated with the particular parts, which it references later in the book. So, fitting. Not a very sturdy thing. A 500ml car wash, car cleaning brush that plugs into the end of the hose. The reason I got this one over the cheapest one they had was because So it had a few extra features. Both this one and the previous model before this, which is the cheaper one I'll put up here, had the car kit with it, which was kind of a bonus for me. I was looking at getting one from the tool shed, which was a orange and black one, which is a little bit more expensive than the first one I was looking at, but I was kind of sold on it because it had a long warranty and had the car thing with it as well. I mean, I've already got like a lot of car wash and car products and stuff like that, but you know, just having a bonus one that actually comes with it is a bit of a bonus, because I thought, you know, the other water blaster I was looking at was relatively small, and I thought, you know, it's probably not going to be too powerful for vehicles, but you know, I always sort of had at the back of my mind maybe it is or whatever. I know most of them sort of are adjustable to a degree, but the fact that this one comes with car cleaning things shows that its intention is to do, well, it's decent at doing smaller jobs as well as, you know, bigger ones. So I didn't want something that's going to be too powerful. But so at a first look, it looks relatively decent to a degree. I had a look at this in the shop, but for the video's purposes, I'll have another look over it and make another opinion. So I'm pleased that it comes with a relatively decent looking long cable. These things wear out after a while and you need to replace them anyway, but I mean, this looks at least like relatively decent length. Same with the power cord, it's like a good length with it. The construction is relatively light, which in a way is really good for if you're, you know, carrying around and doing things like with it, you know, moving it around a bit and stuff. You know, the lighter it is, the better really, but it, I guess it's a bit of a trade-off between, you know, how sturdy something is well put together, between how heavy it is. I guess just depends what you're okay with. I mean, if you want a bigger one, you can get the petrol ones on wheels, and there's multiple different models of these things. This is a lower model, it's a very small one compared to some of the others are quite big. But yeah, in terms of construction itself, I think the plastics are relatively, it's really light, but at the same time it doesn't feel like really sturdy, which is kind of weird for me, because I think, you know, like Karcher seems to be like the #1 water blaster producing company from what I can tell. I mean, I'm no real expert on water blasters or anything like that. I haven't really used them too much, but it's sort of like the most well-known name for what I can think of. You know, it's like generally, if you think about water blasters, the name Karcher comes to mind. Well, that's just for me. You know, there could be other better ones on the market, and like a better brand or what more well-known brand, but that's just to me, somebody who doesn't really know about these sorts of things. And I find it a bit weird that this thing feels like, for something that's well known for being the water blaster brand, how quite sort of flimsy it feels. And I know that they have ones from, I think this one was about 230 bucks. The other one was about 179, and these things go up to about 1,400 bucks from what I've seen, and that's just in Mitre 10. There's another specialized store in this city that has Karcher water blasters that are even different than the ones I have in Mitre 10, so they may be of better quality. Maybe quality gets higher, you know, depending on the price. They may use heavier, more sturdier plastics, but you know, as long as it lasts for a while, then that's all good. But just by first thing, it's like it feels just a bit softer. You can see like that bends in there. It's like the handle feels okay, really light plastic. This one wobbles backwards and forwards. This thing feels about as stable as my mental health. Yeah, quite thin plastic, sort of bends, you know. The wheels obviously being really light plastic. Hopefully they stay on well. This thing down here bends. I know like people probably don't care too much about this sort of thing, but you know, I thought for a video's sake I might as well talk about the build quality, you know, because a lot of people don't, you know, and that's the kind of thing I'd want to know when I'm looking into buying something. So this already looks a little bit warped, a bit like my mind. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. Should kind of be straight. Haven't taken it out of the box yet, I mean before the video, obviously. But yeah, this kind of bends quite a lot. It just feels a bit weak. I mean, for all I know, these things might be just really well working, like quality pieces of equipment, but I don't know, it's a bit weird that it's like, I can understand it being really light, but at the same time, you know, bending like that, it's like, maybe it's not the kind of plastic that breaks too easily when you bend it, but I don't want to take my chances on it, like that freaking Sandra I was using earlier, how the container broke. Well, cracked anyway. I mean, it's okay to have equipment that's a bit like cracked and, you know, beaten here and there, as long as it doesn't compromise the safety of it or the working ability, but I'd still rather have something that's like, can take a few knocks. And I don't mean knocks by, like, say, me purposefully raging on it. I mean, like, you know, if it's thrown around in a work van or it knocks over when you pull the cord or something by accident. So yeah, I was a little concerned about that in the shop. So this isn't actually adjustable at the back. I thought it was. It only clicks into down there for some reason. It doesn't click all the way. I thought maybe something else goes in here, but I don't really get that. So the hose itself plugs in at the front, and this is on-off switch. Feels it's all jittery and feels very, very flimsy. Doesn't really hold in that well, like, which I think is kind of strange. And some people might say, oh well, you know, you don't buy $1,000 blaster, so what do you expect? Well, I don't expect this, because I feel like if you make a product, you make it as well as you can. It doesn't really take a whole lot of money to make a really sturdy switch, and adding a double layer of plastic on the bottom so it doesn't freaking bend. But hell, if it does its job, then it'll get its marks, it'll get a good review. I just think, you know, the way that this wobbles backwards and forwards and kind of way that it plastic bends is a little bit concerning for me. As for the gun, so this is a safety switch, so you don't accidentally press it. Trigger pull, it's incredibly soft. And this thing turns around a bit. Doesn't really take much force to really turn it around, but I've used a couple of water blasters before, and I know that they have different settings. The one I used had you twist the end for chemicals or normal water. Fucking stupid battery keeps dropping down. Anyway, it says here you've got a setting for max sprayer, soft, medium, or hard, which is for blasting concrete, I would imagine. This one is for variations of spraying, so I'm guessing that the hard setting will probably be, rather than fanning out as a finer spray, it'll be a concentrated straight beam. This one says that it's a dirt blasting one, so from what I can tell, there isn't any adjustment on this head. It's just a straight beam of concentrated water for, I suppose, stripping away dirt that's quite concentrated, blasting rocks and paths and stuff like that. So I'll have a go with this one on the path, but this one's what I'm going to try out first for vehicles. Goes in there. This isn't actually really adjustable, it just has one setting, so once it goes in like that, it clicks. But unfortunately, it is quite flimsy. Perhaps not every single one of these is the same. This one might have some manufacturing errors to it, I suppose. Some may be better than others, but from my guess is that they're all like this because the one in the shop was like this as well. So it's got maybe about 5 millimeters of give in there, which it should lock into place. Unfortunately, it goes up and down like that, which is quite annoying, and it wobbles from side to side quite a lot, so you can end up, if you're pushing down at the same time, jam your finger between this part and in here as this goes down, and it can be quite painful. So just a warning on that. So you can lower it like this, so therefore it takes up less storage space in somewhere if the handle's going to get in the way of that. So it does give you that option. However, I do say that being this a plastic tab, after doing this for repeatedly, after a while, long term, I would imagine that this piece may end up breaking off, and you won't have a way of keeping your handle in there unless you drilled some holes through the side of it in here and put like a metal rod through it and twisted it so the handle would stay permanently fixed. Doesn't really seem to be that big of a difference between these three settings, but I'll show you for a reference. It's on a path. It's a bit easier to notice on a path than it is for a car. Change it to medium. Really a whole heap of power for it, like blasting paths with. I don't like the fact that the hard on the setting, the arrow doesn't fully match up with the logo and it doesn't click, so it's kind of like, you know, like with this one and this one it does. The mixed one doesn't either, but at least the arrow lines up with it. But it's like, it kind of makes me wonder if it goes on the setting, even though it does change off medium, like the pressure does seem to make a difference, but I don't like the fact that it fully doesn't line up, so I sort of try to turn it further around, and it feels like I don't want to give it too much pressure because I'm worried that it might snap because it's plastic. But there's a bit of difference between between the medium and the hard. It does help remove this dirt a little bit better. That's on hard, and I'll just try it on medium, see if you can notice much of a difference. So this setting is for mostly for cars and vehicles, and this one is for concrete, so to see if there's much of a difference. There is a subtle difference. I feel like it's enough to make a bit of a difference when clearing this dirt and stuff off the path though, because medium isn't quite good enough for that, which makes sense. So it doesn't feel like a huge difference, but it's enough to make it so that I don't have to go over it a couple of times on hard. I'm going to try a bit more of this. Seems like it might work better for this situation. So this one here is a focused beam jet as opposed to this variable speed one. This one here I think is just one straight beam. It has a bit of water in it for some reason. I haven't used this one yet, so I'll have a go with this and see if it actually works better for on pavements. For this one it's just the same. Twist to the left, and you've got a new head. Remember to turn it off each time you change it. Well, that head over there gives you the options of changing it. This one is just one straight beam. Apparently not. I thought this was going to be just a jet. Apparently I didn't read that in the manual. This one has a different setting as well, I think. So it says that this one goes around the circle and it's good for bricks, but what does the symbol on the other side mean? Still the same. It's kind of weird because, like, I figured that it would have a focused beam, but apparently it's not. Bearing paths. It's almost like it kind of flashes on and off. Pulsates. Really weird. It's like it flickers. Very strange. But it seems to work decent for clearing out these weeds out of the path. Have to get right in deep in the crack though to do that. Like it pulses around in a circle, which makes sense, like in this diagram. I don't really know exactly how that works, but it's fascinating. It's like it's going around in circles, and you can sort of see on the path how it's like doing that as well. Kind of like some kind of weird cyclonic action. I was disappointed that it didn't shoot a straight beam out, but it sort of seems to do the job regardless, so I'm not really too worried. However, it doesn't really have much of a range on it. You can sort of see the way it flickers backwards and forwards. It must be putting the water around in a circle. Really weird. So you can sort of like, the more space you add between it, you can see the way that it's going around in a whole lot of circles. It could make some interesting art with it on the freaking concrete. It's really strange. pay to wear like a soft face mask or something though when you're doing this, because this dirt can flick up at your face. I've got goggles on for my eyes, but they just get hit in the face with a bit of dirt. I think when you use a car brush, it activates the mixture of the shampoo stuff, just like adding the mixed one on here. But I'll try the nozzle first. I'll do this side with that. There's basically no pressure with this, it's just coating the car with a mixture of the water and some of the cleaning solution. It's really just to cover it rather than to use pressure at the same time. So you go on sideways and then twist that way. Obviously I've got it on upside down, so I'll do it from the journey so it's facing left and then downwards. Might just be the last of it coming out of the pipe. So you're going to have to use it with 2 hands really. So when you use the brush, it automatically activates the solution tube. Kind of pays to wear some kind of protective footwear, probably chaps and some gumboots, because this will make your pants quite muddy. And some of it will splash back at your face, so I'd probably recommend just a cloth mask as well, just to stop it getting in your mouth. So I thought I'd add a bit of a follow-up to this video. So in the time that I've used this, I didn't find any issues at all with the pressure, any leaks or anything wrong with the pipe that absorbs the cleaner into it when you're doing like car wash or anything like that. It doesn't have the biggest range on it, so you have to be up pretty close most of the time. It's fairly useful for doing a house as well if you've got like mud and stuff like that on the exterior. It's decent enough for getting the stains and dirt off of paths. The only thing is that due to its lack of range, I guess it's sort of harder to clean like the gutters and things like that of a house. Then again, you could also use a ladder to assist you with that. But yeah, I would have liked to have done this review after having this for a couple of years and just seeing how long it would last, or to see if there's any issues after a long period of time. But this was mostly just a review of me using this over a few weeks, so I think, yeah, it's worth the money. It doesn't really have any issues. Like I said earlier, the build is quite light, but it doesn't seem to cause any issue like that. It seems relatively sturdy enough despite this for regular use, and yeah, I would probably recommend this. Depends on what size of a job though that you really have to do. It's good around the home, but for more heavy duty situations I would probably recommend getting one of their bigger models.